the king of popular music with his unique set of talents and larger-than-life personality, experience, and a longing for the childhood he missed out on. Michael Jackson had an interest in video games. Michael Jackson could have easily ventured into other fields of business, making himself a certified billionaire, but he would always have his focus on entertainment and music. There was The Wiz musical, where he played the Scarecrow. Then as MTV and music on TV became a thing in the 80s, Michael would tap into a whole new realm of possibilities. He'd use this new era of music video TV to make a name for himself and break barriers for music and video entertainment all at the same time. Thriller, to this day, is an impressive feat. I can only imagine being there in the 80s. It probably would have been the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. Jackson would collaborate with brands like Pepsi and prove that commercials could be just as entertaining as a music video. And as he continued to set the bar for what a music video could be, Michael came out with the Smooth Criminal video in 1988. Some have considered it the greatest video of all time. And given the ratings it's gotten over the years throughout the internet, I can say that Smooth Criminal was Michael's most well-received music video. I mean, everyone didn't love Thriller for their own reasons. Through this Smooth Criminal era, Jackson would not only implement a new way to stand at 45 degrees, but he'd also inspire a music video film and an arcade game called Moonwalker. Moonwalker is a name based on Michael's signature dance move that he started doing years before Smooth Criminal, a dance move people try to emulate to this day. But about 2 years after Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, the movie, there came the video game. 1990's Michael Jackson's Moonwalker was a beat-em-up game for arcades and the Sega Genesis/Master Systems. The niche but growing in popularity gaming market at the time had generally called it a fun, addictive platforming game that had excellent graphics. Going back to 1988, Jackson apparently contacted Sega in developing a video game that would capture his persona. This was the pre-Sonic 80s Sega that was known more for games like Alex Kidd, Phantasy Star, and lots of arcade games. Arcade games were the norm, and home consoles were just starting to gain popularity in the same way that music television was. Michael had a lot of involvement with the game development, and even though it took 2 years, Sega was able to deliver. Moonwalker is an immaculate example of 80s pop culture coming together with new tech to make a video game. And given the success of the game over both arcades and home consoles, Sega would earn the friendship of Michael Jackson in general going forward. 3 years later, in 1993, Jackson would work with Sega again for a Laserdisc video game called Scramble Training. At this point, Laserdisc was competing with VHS over which one was more profitable for home video. Again, utilizing new technology to push the boundaries of pop culture. Sega made this interactive film using 3D graphics and Jackson's voice.
Saber 2 is down. Dang, I'm gonna get you. This is A Shuttle. I'll take them out.
And occasionally his image. This Sega-Michael Jackson partnership naturally evolved into the 90s Sonic era, until it didn't. 1993, Sega was developing its third Sonic game, and they allegedly involved Michael Jackson's music in the audio production. He was never credited within the game, but some of the music would remind you of Jackson's music. Different reasons came up about why he would leave the production and not give full credit. after already having a clear partnership with Sega and a liking for Sonic the Hedgehog. Some say the 1993 X-abuse accusations had something to do with it. Others would say that Michael wasn't satisfied with how his music sounded through the game and think that he was considering other competing game companies. Some of these companies, like Nintendo at the time, was boasting better video and sound quality. The new wave of video gaming technology was already starting, and Sega was already starting to fall behind on all of it. Despite what it was, Sonic 3, including the Sonic & Knuckles edition, had some clear Michael Jackson inspiration in some of its music. People have pointed this out over the years, but it wasn't until 2022 that the co-creator of Sonic himself would confirm Jackson actually was involved. Yuji Naka confirmed over Twitter that Jackson originally was back there composing songs. And while leaving the project, Sega had the rights to use whatever Michael did already. Anyone with ears can hear the influence, and it is what it is. But this isn't the last time Michael Jackson ever worked with Sega, or video games in general. It's not like he was mad at them or anything. Throughout the rest of the 90s, Jackson continued with what he knew best: music and music videos. But then Michael made a cameo in 1999's Space Channel 5 for the then brand new Sega Dreamcast. An artist for the game told in a 2012 interview that the game was late in development, almost in its beta, and then the head of Sega's development came into the office saying Michael Jackson wanted to be in their game. He saw what they already had made and he loved it. Given that they already had a long-term relationship, Sega went out of their way to implement the King of Pop into their dance game as
Space Michael!
Get out of here, Yulala. This is a trap.
Space Channel 5 and its sequel in 2002 got to use Jackson's likeness and voice. He ended up becoming more of a main character than you'd expect. The first game had Michael get rescued by Yulala from some aliens over a dance battle, and in Space Channel 5 Part 2, Michael becomes the new head of the channel. So, like, Michael Jackson is the face of Space Channel 5. Michael Jackson was doing random cameos around this time in the Y2K era. He is also credited, somewhat, for being in 2000's Ready to Rumble boxing.
Michael Jackson!
You can't win. The title's mine. Don't you know who you're messing with?
While having a release for the Dreamcast, this Michael Jackson involvement didn't actually have anything to do with Sega. In light of the PlayStation 2's release, Ready to Rumble Boxing was one of its first games, and this version was special. Besides some slightly better graphics, it was hyped for having Shaquille O'Neal and Michael Jackson as unlockable characters. And they didn't just use his likeness, they used motion capture and whatever new digital tech they could to use his likeness. It even featured his voice.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Hey, I got into this game for a real match. I'm gonna dance all over you.
It's debatable whether or not he actually voiced his character in the game, because it doesn't sound like Michael. Michael had his voice and his real voice.
You know this, man!
You know this, man.
Which features a deeper, lower register.
Thank you. This means the world to me, really does. Thank you so much. I'm a big fan, really.
At the end of the day, he was an entertainer who loved entertainment. This included sporting events like boxing and the development of new video games, something that was constantly evolving with technology. Jackson himself helped to progress video and music, so naturally, he would gravitate towards video games and their music. After his departure in 2009, Ubisoft would develop a multi-platform rhythm game that even he would approve of. The Michael Jackson Experience was the epitome of everything he liked about video games, and I'd say it was a proper video game tribute. Whether it was finding new ways to promote music and tell stories, or just a funny way to be a part of something new and exciting, the king of pop music was really a fan of pop culture as a whole.